Hey guys, Lou Wizard here with another video on Gems of War, and in this video I'm going to be going over a team I set up for the current event called For the Birds, and I'll be going over some of the troops that I think will be good for that event. But first I want to go in here and talk a little bit about a couple of troop and a weapon in the Soul Forge. Now, I'm not really going through the Soul Forge like I used to, but whenever I see troops or weapons that do pop up in here, I do want to make a mention of them, simply because there's some really good troops and really good weapons out there that I think are definitely worth crafting, no matter what, as long as you have the resources to do it. Tina 9000 is one of those. This mythic troop came out, I think it might be a year or 2 years ago, but it's still really powerful. One of the best mythics, in my opinion, to have. This troop will do true damage to 3 random enemies, and it gains armor when you cast it. It does gain quite a bit of armor too. Its magic is pretty good. So it is 24 mana cost. It will not generate mana for itself, so you do need to have 1 or 2 mana generators in your team to really power this thing up. Now, I've seen a lot of people use Thrall with it, but you can use really a lot of different troops. You can use the Leprechaun or Gorgotha. There's several. Even since it uses brown mana, you can use the Mountain Crusher with it and generate a lot of mana pretty fast, because this thing does the most damage when you can get it powered up quickly. So you're going to need some kind of mana generator to get that power up. Now, this thing does reduce damage from spells by 50%, but it doesn't reduce skull damage, but that's its weakness, and so you do have to watch out for that. It will not reduce any damage from skulls, but it does add 50% of its armor to skull damage, so that's pretty awesome. But this thing will take out a lot of enemies, and enemies that are annoying that have barrier all the time, since this is going to hit 3 random enemies. If there's 1 enemy left on the opposing team, it's going to hit it 3 times. So it'll knock off barrier the first time, and the second and the third time it will do true damage. So I love this thing. It's one of my favorite mythic troops. Definitely worth crafting if you don't have it. So yeah, that's a mention there. And as far as weapons go, there's nothing like super amazing here in weapons, but I did want to mention the Nimbus bow, because most of these weapons that do this sort of thing, where they do a little bit of damage and then they generate mana based on a type of troop, they're not really that great unless you have certain circumstances or certain other troops that really go good with it. This one, if you have the Finesse Guardian troop, it's a 11 mana cost yellow troop, and it's a Strix. So if you use this weapon with 3 of those, it's actually a really powerful team. And that would be one of the reasons why I would craft that weapon. Otherwise, I would skip it if you don't have that. If you don't have 3 of the Finesse troop. And those do work probably best when they're like Mythic Ascended, just because you're going to have more stats on them. But besides the Ascending, the most important thing to have on those Finesse troops is them fully traded, because all of those Guardian troops, when you have them fully traded, they're going to add extra skills to all the type of troop that it is. So for the Finesse troop, it's a Strix, so it's going to add a lot more to that Strix. So I'll just go in here and show you the Finesse troop really quick. Here it is, and see here, when you have it fully traded, it's going to give 4 to all skills on all Strix allies. And it is a Strix, and when you got 4 of them, it does stack, so it's going to be giving, if you got 3 of these in a team with that weapon, every time you get a 4 match or more, 4, 5, 6 match of gems, it's going to give, if you got 3 of these in your team, it's going to give 12 to all skills on all those troops. So a pretty powerful team. That would be one of the reasons why I would craft that weapon. So here we are with the current event this week called For the Birds. And at first I thought it was going to be Strix, because that's the type of weapon we have here in the Forge, and the symbol here looks like for the Strix Kingdom, but they're actually, what we're restricted to is Mystic troops. Now, some of those can be Strix, so I kind of built like a Strix type of team off of that. So I'm using the class for that, as well as a few troops. Not all of them, but I have a few. Enchantress is the only one in here that isn't, but it does damage to all enemies. And I tried to build like a team that isn't as legendary or mythic intense, because I know a lot of people out there, a lot of you guys don't have all the mythic and legendary troops yet. So, and rope darts kind of, I can give some recommendations besides that, because that's a weapon that a lot of people don't have when they're starting out with the game as well. But let me go in here real quick, and we'll just go through the troops. And I'm going to do it by base rarities. So we have quite a few mythics that we can use this week. You have Aquaticus, Famine. But Famine is just going to drain mana, and it really just kind of snipes one enemy. I would pass on that. This Queen of Sin is okay, does damage, true damage to the first two enemies, has a summon. Shabanu Vespera might be good for looping, but apart from looping and mana generation, it's not as useful. Tian Yi, I think, is going to be good for this, especially if you like try to build like a wild folk team around it. Willanisha is pretty good, does damage to all enemies, and it's going to steal magic. Works best probably with a purple team. And that's it for mythics here for this event. And then we go on to legendaries, and there's some decent legendaries here. We have this Essentia, which is really just not a mana generator, and it's going to give dragon allies 50%. So unless you're building a dragon team, that troop is not going to be as useful for this event. And then we go on to some of these legendaries. This is going to drain all mana, and then it deals from one enemy, and then it's going to deal damage to them and all enemies above them. So you're going to want to attack like the enemy on the bottom if you're using that troop. Luna is really good. I do like Luna, and the first team that I built for this event actually had Luna in it, but I decided to go for more of a Strix team here. This legendary troop here, Orrery, is pretty good. It's going to conjure a Starstorm at the start of every turn, which means more yellow and more purple are going to be coming down on the board. So if you want to use that as a mana generator, it's best to have some purple. So for example, you could put Orrery at the bottom, and you could put like Willanisha if you have it here, somewhere in there, because you're going to be generating yellow and purple there. So, and that's what Orrery is going to do. Now, there are other purple ones down here, like Starflower is a good legendary, Vanu Sailmorn is a good legendary. So there's some other legendaries. If you don't have Willanisha as a mythic troop, you don't have that one, but you do have Starflower or Vanu Soulmorn, you can use that with Orrery. That's a possibility. Queen Zochi. I really like this troop because it deals damage to all enemies, and then if there's a storm, it explodes 5 gems, so we're actually getting a little bit of mana generation every time that we cast it. And you can see I already have that in my team. So there's a few other good troops, here and there. Harpy Mage, excellent mana generator. We're going to be using that one too. Grave Seer is pretty good too for generating that purple mana. And there's a few other good ones in here that aren't legendaries. Like, as you can see, I have Enchantress. This is not a legendary base rarity troop, but it does deal damage to all enemies, and it will enchant a random ally. It uses purple and yellow, so that's what I kind of opted for there, is throwing that one in there. But I have Harpy Mage at the top because we're going to be generating a lot of mana with it, and it's going to conjure Dust Storm, which might seem like it's a little conflicting with my Stormcaller, because the Stormcaller does generate a Light Storm at the start of every turn if you do have this traded. But if you don't have this class traded, or maybe you don't want to use that class, Harpy Mage is a great way to generate a Dust Storm to get more brown mana on the board. And that's really for Zochi right here, because this is going to be our main damage source, is Zochi. That's what I'm focusing on. So, Rope Dart's been good, but you can put anything that you really want in there. Dancing Daggers is a class weapon. I believe it's for the, what is the class called? Man, I forget real quick here. Let me look at, this is the window for that. I'd have to back out and look at all that. It's a monster class, I believe. I forget the name of it. For some reason, I can't remember it. Man, I wish I could remember that. Anyway, this is like the monster class weapon. So at 250 battles, you'll be able to get this weapon. It's pretty decent. 14 mana cost. So that's a pretty good one for yellow here to throw in there. There's a couple other good ones. If you have Doomed Axe, of course, that's pretty good. Dawnbringer, if you have already have it, is decent for something like this. But if you want more mana generation, there is other options, like you do have the Flammifer in here. Create 10 red gems. There's a couple other options in here for mana generation. Explode a certain amount of gems on the board. But yeah, so overall it's not a bad event. I like that we have quite a few options here. So I'll go ahead and throw that in there. And let's go ahead to a few battles with this team. But some of you guys probably noticed, but I really do like my storms and mana generators, like exploders and all of that. It's just, you know, for me, like when I'm playing the game, I really just enjoy making the battles faster. Like right here, the mana generation that's going on between the storm and the exploding, I just blew through that battle real quick. Now, I think I forgot to mention that we are focusing on spell damage. So if you go in here to the shop, if you get a badge, it's 40% spell damage for all troops. Now, you can buy higher and get yourself a medal, which will give you 160% extra spell damage. But that's what we're focusing on for this event, is that spell damage. I think I forgot to mention that in the beginning. But yeah, so that's what we're focusing on here. And as you can see down here, my light storm's going because I'm using that Stormcaller class. And with Harpy Mage, we can bounce back and forth between the Dust Storm and the Light Storm. So that's kind of cool. Oh, we got a 4-match there. Might as well get that. Go ahead and explode those. And boom, we got that. Nice. Just constant popping on the board. Lots of mana generation. I love this team. Just everything flows really smooth with it. Go ahead and cast this. We got, as long as we got that storm going, Zochi's gonna keep exploding 5 gems. And we got a high chance of a 4-match because of the storm that's constantly going. And we'll go ahead here and do another battle. I only have like 2 battles left. I might also just do those 2 battles and get them over with for the day. Alright, here it goes. Oh, wait, I almost missed a 4-match. There we go. Another extra turn. So there's that. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll go. And I almost missed a 4-match there. Zochi's powered up. Cast that again. Boom, boom. And we'll go ahead and cast this. Ah, they killed my Harpy Mage. And they killed Zochi. I think that was the lethal kill skill on this thing. Yeah, it has a 20% chance to lethally kill. That's what happened with that. Nah. I got an extra 3. We'll do one more battle here, and that'll be it for this video. I like it when the board just gives you a nice extra turn match right off the bat. Boom. Nice smooth team, works really good. We got a lot of options there though for other teams if you guys want to play around with a lot of that. But that's my team I'm using here right now. You can switch out the weapon, or Enchantress might be something you want to switch out, but I like this team so far, and that's what I'm going to be using for this week's event. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Later.